Hello, my name is Lola, and I'm going to be reacting to old Crash Bandicoot on the Game Boy Advance by Caddicarus. Man, I remember I had a Game Boy Advance a long time ago. It was red. I had put a blue sticker on it. I had scratched my initials on it, and that was it. I had a few games on it. I had Shrek 2, Madagascar, the Avengers. It was a Zelda game. I forgot what it was called. I had a Mario game and Tarzan, and that was it. So let's see what Crash games on the Game Boy Advance does Caddy recommend, and which ones he advised to stay away from. And if you want to like, comment, subscribe to my channel, you can. If you don't want to, that's fine too. Here we go.
Karis!
Yeah?
Did you hear about the Beast?
The Beast?
Yeah, what's that?
Yeah. Beast.
The Beast! Oh my god, the Beast! The Beast! The Beast! The Beast!
The Beast! The Beast! The Beast! The Beast! The Beast! The Beast! The Beast! The Beast! The Beast!
There it is. There's the Beast. We're really lucky. I think it's resting. Interminably waiting for its next victim. Yeah, I think I'm gonna knock it out. I'm gonna take it home. Greetings and salutations, my beautiful people, and welcome to the Caddicarus Show, where I always have to do the duty of deciding whether or not things deserve to be slaughtered or salvaged. And today is a very special day. I'm very excited to do this video because this is the first time I get to cover the first console I ever owned for myself personally. Look at this gorgeous beast here. And what's more interesting than the beast itself is what's inside the beast's belly. So how about we take a look inside and see what we find? Oh, fucking no, this is not a sleek and sexy Game Boy Advance SP with the classic tribal marks like what every other kid in my block had. Now, I was never lucky enough for that level of coolness. Instead, this is the original Game Boy Advance with the brilliant, murky, horrible, unbacklit screen that meant whenever I played this thing in a car, I'd need to have it up towards the sunlight and therefore mean that the corner of my eyes were focusing on the world moving past me very fast and therefore getting me travel sickness. Good times! This thing here was the first handheld and first Nintendo console I ever played, and I had some major masterpieces to play on this thing, like Dark Arena, Planet of the Apes, Star Wars Episode 2, Rugrats Gotta Go Party. It's like potty, because they're babies, but it's actually a party game. Very clever. It's not a game about shitting your pants. Okay, no, I didn't have that many games for this thing. And what the fuck was Mario or Zelda? Yeah, as a kid, I never knew a single thing about either of those franchises, but that doesn't mean that I had nothing but useless tat for my collection. I mean, I had Sonic Advance 2, my first ever Sonic game that I played, and boy, what a great place to start. Spyro Season of Flame, which was decent for a handheld Spyro adventure, scratching my itch from the PS1 days. Tekken Advance, an extremely faithful, digitized and bit-crushed recreation of Tekken 3 that worked surprisingly well with only 2 action buttons. And even this Cubics battling game. Who remembers this gem for the 2000s? I couldn't tell you a fucking thing about this series now, but back in the day I loved it, whatever it was. I even had this interactive electronic Cubics toy, and what the hell was this? I seriously can't fucking remember. Why did I own this toy? It's also worth mentioning that when I got my GBA, of course, I was a stupid little kiddywink, and so I didn't realise that the boxes were worth anything at all. I thought they were just random packaging. They were cardboard. I mean, how was I supposed to know? It was like having a cardboard box for a toy. I just threw the fucking things in the bin. So, yeah, I was a bit of an idiot. But I did decide, in my infinite wisdom, to keep all the manuals for my games, though. So, there's that at least. I got all the manuals. I like to read them on the toilet. And when I got this thing in Christmas 2001, all I ever said was, I want Crash Bandicoot on this thing. I don't care about this red and blue plumbing Hitler twat. Okay, I never said that. And for whatever reason, I have a feeling that God might have been listening to me when I was complaining about that, because my incessant elitist PlayStation whining eventually paid off in 2002 when Crash Bandicoot XS was released for my beloved Advance, and I couldn't have been a happier 8-year-old. Wait. Crash Bandicoot XS? Crash Bandicoot XS? It's a rhythm game! Crash Bandicoot xylophone saxophone! It has been years since I played this game, and honestly, I don't really remember how well it holds up, so I guess there's only one thing we can do to find that out. Pop the game in, stick on this lovely Crash Bandicoot N. Sane Trilogy sweatband that some lovely fan gave to me at TMG 2017, find the sunniest and comfiest part of the room, and dive right in. Okay, well, immediately I have to bitch. I know that this is a GBA game, and it's a cartoony Crash Bandicoot game, but fuck, the story is kind of terrible. We begin in a mysterious space station. Oh, mysterious space station? You mean the Cortex Vortex, the thing that we blew up in Crash 2 as it fell towards planet Oith? And then we cut to inside the ship, and it turns out to be the Time Twister from Crash 3 that also blew up and isn't even a space station to begin with, so... Like I said, I know this is a GBA game with limited space, so they screenshotted shit from the previous games, but equally, they do have many original stills that they use specifically for this story, so what's the big deal here? They can clearly make new things, why didn't they? The writing as well for the limited dialogue scenes there are is also pretty bad. I mean, I've heard it all before, little scientist. Why would Uka Uka, you know, this guy...
We must destroy you!
...ever say something as juvenile as that? He's talking to Cortex like a neglected wife. In fact, even I could do better on the dialogue.
Cortex, you have failed me for the final time. If you can't help me conquer the planet, then I'll inflict 1,000 years of suffering upon you.
But great Uka Uka, it wasn't me, it was the infernal Bandicoot.
Enough excuses, you pathetic creature.
But the Bandicoot.
Get me the gems and the crystals, and this time no excuses.
Again? Yep.
Bandicoot!
Okay, maybe not. This game was known in the US as The Huge Adventure, while the European version was called XS, and I think that must stand for extra small. And what I do like is how that title not only refers to the system you play it on, but cleverly enough also Cortex's next scheme to crush Crash, shrinking the world to the size of a Terry's chocolate orange. Now I see what you mean, Cortex, when you say little plan. Ha ha ha, you're a very funny man, you know. You're like Dane Cook. Okay, actually, there's quite a few things here that don't add up, so before we continue, I feel like I simply have to bring back yet another edition of the top whatever number is, as this intro makes no fucking sense whatsoever. 1. Cortex, you've shrunk the world down to your fingertips. Why are you transmitting yourself onto a television when you can just look at the world and talk to everyone at once while they look up and see your face from the sky? Actually, now that I think about it, that would be far too scary. Good shout, Cortex. 2. You said earlier to Uka Uka that you should ignore Crash and just take over the world, but isn't Crash the single reason why you haven't taken over the world yet? What the fuck are you talking about? And speaking of, 3, you now have Crash literally in your grasp and you don't care about humans, so why not actually step on the world and then figure out how to conquer the galaxy? Isn't this what you always wanted? You're giving Crash ample time and a chance to actually stop you. And furthermore, even in your own fucking boss battle, you shrink yourself to kill Crash. Why? Crush the world! 5, how are we actually getting from level to level when this isn't even Cortex's device here? Aku Aku said he needs to harvest crystals to power his shrink ray, but he's already shrunk the world, so why does he need any more crystals? In fact, 6, why are there even boss battles? Cortex could eat the world, shit it out, and flush it down the toilet. Just kill Crash yourself! I'm sorry, but this lack of detail is just infuriating. I don't have a major problem with it because it is a platformer on Game Boy Advance and the story isn't even a huge focus. However, it's a little distracting how little everything fits together. I mean, especially with Cortex, I know he's a bit of a bumbling imbecile, but he's not a complete and utter moron. He is a scientist. He knows what he's doing. I'm afraid to say that now I'm not looking too forward to revisiting this game. I guess we can just hit the start button and see what happens, right? Oh wow, holy shit. I'm shocked. This is actually a game. It's a fucking game, everybody! We have an actual Crash Bandicoot platformer with lots of visual detail, good music, tight controls, and plenty of challenges. Holy hell. The game was developed by Vicarious Visions, the same people who made Crash Nitro Kart and even the Insane Trilogy. So even from the year 2002, 15 years before the Insane Trilogy, whenever they had the Crash license in their possession, it seems as though they knew exactly what they were doing from the start, most of the time. They just wanted to keep the classic gameplay of Crash that everyone loved him for alive, whether it's 3D or even 2D like this, even though they couldn't keep the classic memorable and charming stories alive. I mean, they could when they were retelling the stories already done, but No, not this. The gameplay is exactly what you're expecting from whenever Crash is played on the side. It's just like the side-scrolling parts of the PS1 titles, except if it were portable and looking like an SNES game. Crash runs left and right with pinpoint accuracy, jumps with great weight in a perfect arc, spins to attack and breaks boxes, and even does the slide, crawl, and slide jump. How awesome is that? Each stage has a crystal to grab, a gem for breaking every single box, bonus stages for more boxes and lives, classic enemies from Crash 2 and 3 mixed and matched into the treacherous level design that tests your jumping and timing constantly, colored gems hidden behind special platforming challenges that give you more access to previous levels and therefore more gems. I can't say much more. What you see is what it is. Classic Crash action on the side. The level designs are pretty cool as well, as it relies a lot on exploration and secrets that are above you on metal boxes and below you underground, and often you need to go back on yourself against what you're expecting to do dead ahead of you. It's a slower and more patiently designed Crash game, where anything can go, enemies and obstacle timings can throw you off if you rush, and platforms and secrets can be placed wherever for those daring enough to risk a life and see if they can use their power-ups or slide jumps correctly. And the secrets are often off the camera, but always leave you a hint that something will be there for you to find. And you even get the awesome Crash 3 power-ups from defeated bosses, except for the bazooka. And the stages really do test you on death tornado glides, huge gaps for double jumps, and correct management of the super belly flop, I would argue even more than Crash 3 itself does. They are still optional power-ups to make things easier or more badass for you in your playtime, but they are more of an integral mechanic than ever, and that's awesome for just the second dimension design. Plus the time trial relics are even back, and honestly, Crash looks like the goofiest fucking clod whenever he uses the Crash Dash power-up after beating the final boss. It's amazing. You go from extremely smooth running animation to jittery 2-frame animation in a split second, and it fucking cracks me up. It's so stupid. It's just so... If anything, the sewer levels are easily the worst design levels in the game because they're just not interesting whatsoever. Every single one of them is a completely flat gauntlet of repetitive enemy placements, no inclines or slopes at all, and no special secrets apart from the one where you need to jump over the exit portal. That's kind of cool, I guess. But also barely any decent platforming moments, a couple of bottomless pits, and did I mention flat design? It's flatter than this girl. They're also the only stages with monkey bars, and they are rarely used for any decent challenges aside from 1 or 2 moments in total. And please do be careful whenever you hit those exclamation mark crates to make invisible boxes appear, because if you do it too quickly, you can lock yourself out from fuck! And please do be careful whenever you get an invincible Aku Aku mask, because if you use it at the wrong time, then fuck! Overall, it is a pretty challenging game. I never game over at all, but I did lose lives a lot, especially when going after the colored gems. And the game does a good job of testing your timing and positioning along with the previously mentioned punishments for rushing, especially true whenever super belly flopping is involved, or indeed the exclamation mark and fuck! And sometimes the challenge can be due to the controls, but I mean, you do need to consider I'm also judging this as a tiny sized GBA game, so you need to take liberties with it, but so far as it stands, it's a good Crash game and a really good GBA game.
You know what, I think I know the perfect person who would appreciate this.
I got blood on my hands and there's no remorse. I got blood on my dick cause I fucked your corpse. I'm an ass.
Hello.
Gil, is that you?
Yeah, it's me. You called my phone. What the fuck do you want?
Well, what the fuck I want is to show you some good Crash gameplay and nothing like the trash Bandicoot shit you subjected us to on your channel.
I can't see a goddamn thing. I also can't figure out how to do the spin attack.
Did you just turn Crash into a giant douchebag?
Oh, really? How kind of you. Yeah, sure, I'll do it.
Wow, dude, this is actually a game.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said.
Kinda wish I didn't waste my time playing Crash Bandicoot Flash games when I could've just emulated this or something. I really love how-
Thanks for joining us, Gil. You're no longer needed.
What? I just got here.
And that's what you get for torturing me with all of your Crash games, so leave me alone.
Okay, fine, but I'll be back for our obligatory collab video, dick.
Yeah. Go away, no one likes you.
What are you gonna do, edit me to death?
Visually, well, look at this game. You might as well call it GKC. Donkey Kong Crash. I can't think of anything clever, shut the fuck up. It looks pretty great and luscious for a side-scrolling GBA game with tons of layering and detailed models, and when the visuals work with the gameplay, it can give you some impressive shit. Check out the bear chase sequences, it's so fucking cool. If only we could see what could possibly happen if we were going forward in third person. I mean, not in this stage though, because going towards that thing is not my idea of fun at all. What the fuck even is this? I'm gonna puke out of fear. I found Bigfoot and he's rabid. You even get some of Crash's death animations, and the rendering of all the model animations themselves is smooth and lovingly accurate to the PS1 counterparts. Musically, the game is also not too bad. It's another mix of Crash 2 and Crash 3 tracks made with GBA instruments ready to fit inside the machine, and the only major issue with the sound is the odd sound effect not registering and enemies not making any noises at all. It sucks out a little bit of the charm from the cartoony, colourful world of Crash, but again, it is an early GBA game, so you need to give it a tiny bit of credit in these areas. And here's an embarrassingly lame anecdote. Before I had a portable CD or MP3 player, I used to go to my favourite levels in this game, put the Game Boy in my pocket and listen to the music in the pause menu. I was a sad, pathetic child. And then when you come to consider the... Oh my, look, my wish came true! Third person, going forward and in some of Crash's best airborne jetpack stages in his career. It's visually impressive, the music's great, the enemies are pretty fast to attack and challenging to take down, hitting all of the boxes to get the gem and your health back while avoiding the enemies is honestly pretty fucking challenging. The blimps that you have to kill actually fight back, unlike Crash 3. You can barrel roll left and right to avoid attacks. This is some great shit, and it's on the Game Boy Advance. These parts also control really smoothly, as does the rest of the game in the platforming. I did foreshadow earlier on that the control isn't perfect, and the main reason for that is because of the sliding. For whatever fucking reason, the timing on jumping after the slide whenever you're near a ledge is extremely finicky for no reason, and you'll often slide directly off the ledges because the game decides you're too late to input your jump and are already falling down a hole even though you clearly aren't. I mean, it's a little unreliable near any kind of ledge at all. I know it looks like I'm failing at the game, but why would I find the urge to just slide off a fucking edge like that? Because of this, my hands get all clammy whenever tight metal box platforming with barely enough space to slide jump are involved, because there's no guarantee the jump will even register, let alone actually make you across the gap. Box breaking is also not as satisfying as the PS1 games, but that's more to do with the system limitations than bad mechanics. The control is 90% good, and that's the most important thing, and the ice physics, in my opinion, are the best in any Crash game to date. They speed you up and slip you around, absolutely, but have no heavy momentum, so changing directions and getting over different slopes is ridiculously easy. The game also loads levels and checkpoints after deaths in milliseconds, which is brilliant, allowing for... What is it with Crash and Nightmare Bears? This, and now this? Shoot it! Burn it! Hang its head on the wall! Peter will be invited to the barbecue! 5 boss battles are, well, 3 are good and the other 2 are pretty terrible. But they're all unique to Crash since they all take place in 2D. Dingodile, the first boss, is actually an underwater boss, and for a first boss it's not too hard but executed marvellously, mixing elements of Tiny Tiger from Crash 3 by sending enemies after you, and Dingodile's trigger happy tendencies with falling stalactites underwater. Engine is boss 2, oh yes, in the awesome jetpack, and honestly, he nearly whooped me with the amount of attacks he gives you to avoid, attacks to destroy with the Wumpa fruits you have, and all of the moving he does while you're trying to hit his weak spot. Tiny, boss 3 is total wank. Here it is. See? Wank. And by this point, Cortex is by tradition pathetically easy, and in the game it makes no sense because he went from this to this. So Cortex, I don't know why your head is so fucking fat, but it's clearly not because you have a big brain in there. The secret final boss for getting all of the time trial relics, gems, and crystals though is my favourite one, since it's actually a boss that utilises the crash dash for something other than the time trials, and not many other games have done that before. It's intense shit. And by the way, this is what the secret ending boss is. Don't thank me for the nightmares, they're on the house. It's my little treat to you.
Why don't you talk about the leaps of faith?
How the hell did you do that? Fuck off and die!
In quite a few places, the game does tend to rely on leaps of faith. Sometimes they're actually quite literally leaps of faith that give you no clue what's ahead, and other times it's basic platforming challenges but made a little bit trickier because of the screen crunching, meaning that your landing points sometimes vanish from under your feet and make it difficult to figure out where you're gonna land. Luckily though, the game, I think, knew about this, and so any major obvious leap of faith is actually built in such a way that if you just do a normal or double jump and just hold forward, you'll easily clear the jump and get over any obstacle with no problem at all, and that is how all of the leaps of faith are designed, so kudos for noticing the limitations and not making a randomly hard challenge just because the game is a little bit zoomed in. I can't say quite the same for the moments where the boxes just disappear under your feet as you're going along normally. That's a little bit distracting, and it's not great game design at all in my opinion overall, but it's nothing that ruins the game because of the cool way that the game gives you such a tiny chance of fucking up as long as you just jump and hold forward. Hey, this level is called Snow Job. Snow Job. How the fuck did they get away with that?
Cheeky bastards.
And within the level itself, there's even more naughtiness to find, such as... Wait, what the fuck happened there? How did I die? What's Crash even doing?
But overall, yes, this game is far from perfect, but as a GBA Crash Bandicoot game not made by Naughty Dog, It's pretty bloody good if you take a step back. And if I remember correctly, the sequel that it ended up getting was actually even better, so maybe I'll have to revisit that at some point in the future. And I might even take a look at Crash Purple. Or perhaps Spyro Orange. I'm really sorry, just saying that game's name makes me vom. Either way, I spent hours on this game as a kid on my beloved Game Boy Advance.
That bad.
Looking back, I don't blame my childhood self for doing that. It was pretty bloody good, and it's really surprising to me that this, as a 2D Game Boy Advance game not made by Naughty Dog, was actually more faithful to anything that Crash Bandicoot did in his early days than any of the 3D games up until the Insane trilogy. And because of all of that, Crash Bandicoot XS, or Crash Bandicoot The Huge Adventure, I prefer XS honestly, gets the salvage. Lovely. And until next time, if it's your birthday today or watching this video, happy freaking birthday to you, and please remember to stay beautiful. You bastard! Subscribe. I always have to do the oh, it never gets any easier.
How kind of you. Fuck me, fuck my ass, fuck my ass.
Brenton. Thanks. Thanks, Brenton. Thanks, Printer. I always have to do the deciding whether it is.
That's it. Oh man, I thought there'd be more Game Boy Advance games of Crash. But yeah, that one does look pretty good, and if I had my Game Boy Advance, I'd probably buy it. Like, man, I miss my old Game Boy Advance. Like, man, like, I guess my mom noticed that I hadn't been playing it in a while, so she like sold it and the games along with it. I was like, oh my god, why would you do that? But of course, I was already older at the time, and yeah, I wasn't playing it as much as I used to when I was a kid, and yeah. Man, I still kind of wish she didn't do that, but I mean, where is it at now? I don't know. But yeah, that Crash Bandicoot game, XS, or Huge Adventure, whatever it's called, it does look like a pretty good game, you know. Anyway, that's my reaction to old Crash Bandicoot on Game Boy Advance by Caddicarus. Everyone take care of yourselves and each other, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!